My company is old. How old? Really old. Add the lifespans of Acorns, Betterment, Robinhood, Stash, Amazon, Tesla, Personal Capital, Mint, and you almost get to our age. So how, you may ask, does a 100-year-old company innovate in a brand new area like student debt? Our innovation does look a little different from a startup's, but some of the differences might actually be advantages. We'll get to that in a minute. About my company, we provide many products and services, but are mostly known for providing retirement to nonprofits. Products come and go, people come and go, financial cycles come and go. But one thing seems to have stuck for a century. We're on a mission to help the people we serve, teachers, professors, medical professionals, and other nonprofit workers, to reach their financial goals. So when we heard in a customer survey that student debt is a top concern for our people, we set out to understand the issue. We learned that almost 1 million of our customers have, on average, over $50,000 in student debt, and that many of them are delaying working on other financial goals because of that burden. We all know someone burdened by student debt. Student debt is equal opportunity. I'll bet there are some people in the audience today who have student debt. So student debt in the US tops $1.5 trillion, and it impacts around 45 million people. It's really hard to wrap your head around those numbers. And to put it in context, it's second only to mortgage debt and ahead of auto loans and credit card debt. Let's take it to a more personal level. So Leah, a real person, is an assistant professor in Cambridge, Massachusetts, not a cheap place to live, and she makes around $58,000 a year. She has a couple of master's degrees that she paid for herself and $95,000 in student debt. She's been paying her debt for 4 years to the tune of $1,000 a month. There's Leah. Leah can't afford to buy a home. She doesn't have savings to cover the little financial emergencies that seem to crop up every 6 months, like her car breaking down or a visit to a sick family member. She knows she should be saving for retirement, but it's hard to think about future Leah when money's so tight right now. So her debt may be a little higher than average, but the stress she feels each month when she sends $1,000 to her service provider is hardly unique. Bankrate tells us that having student debt will cause a 5-year delay in owning a home and will result in $500,000 less in retirement savings. And it's hitting some populations disproportionately. 2/3 of the student debt is held by women, and African Americans carry 31% more debt than their white peers. There's probably a whole other talk on that topic, but clearly student debt isn't just a financial issue, it's a social justice issue. So how can people like Leah get relief from their student debt? Public Service Loan Forgiveness, or PSLF, is a federal forgiveness program created over a decade ago. The program was put in place to encourage people to enter and stay in public service careers. Fast forward 10 years and PSLF isn't living up to its promise. 99% of people who have gone through the program are being rejected at the end for a variety of reasons. Picked the wrong repayment plan, had the wrong type of loan, paid too little, paid too much, didn't create a paper trail, worked at the wrong type of company, or the most frustrating reason of all, rejected with no explanation. Imagine working toward forgiveness for 10 years and getting rejected for a technicality. No wonder people are alternately dejected and furious. So how do we create a breakthrough here and really help our people? Cue collaboration with a startup. In early 2018, a colleague in corporate strategy tossed a few company names over the wall as possible candidates for partnership. One of them looked especially promising, an early-stage startup that helps people and nonprofits navigate repayment plan options and federal forgiveness plans like PSLF. So we decided to set up a limited pilot with that startup to see if people were interested in a PSLF Navigator. Spoiler alert, they are. Remember I said that some of the disadvantages of being a big old company can actually be advantages? Here are 3 areas where I thought that was true. Number 1, the financial services industry is heavily regulated by a number of agencies, the SEC, DOL, Treasury, IRS, and others. Because of that broad oversight, our in-house legal team takes the time to deliberate, read, sometimes consult with outside counsel, and inevitably errs on the conservative side. They're the kind of people who see regulation for what it was intended, a protection for small investors. Let that sink in. Regulation is welcome because it protects the very people we care about. Number 2, in today's world, privacy and cybersecurity are 2 areas that demand our attention. So in order to be associated with our name, we subjected that startup to a very rigorous risk and security review process. This process is a marathon, but a marathon with some hurdles to jump over, maybe a flaming hoop or 2, and where the finish line is kind of indeterminate. But you come out the other end of the months-long process feeling pretty well versed in security protocols and feeling confident that people's data is as safe as it can be. And number 3, by virtue of our size and organizational complexity, we work in what I affectionately call a matrix organization. Including different groups in developing a strategy slows the process for sure, but also ensures that the path forward is informed by multiple perspectives. So my colleague Raul pulled together a grassroots team of smart people from different parts of the business: legal, government relations, institutional, bank, corporate strategy, and advice. We brought our different experiences and areas of expertise to the table to define a unique and multifaceted student debt solution. Let's finish with Leah. So we ran Leah's numbers through the startup's calculator. By entering into an income-driven repayment plan, she'll be able to reduce that $1,000 payment to $350. That's $650 in her pocket each month to build an emergency fund, pay down credit card debt, or save for the future. And in another 6 years, $95,000 could be forgiven tax-free. That's life-changing. Innovation looks different in big companies. Perhaps it's more deliberate, but one fabulous thing about being big is that whatever we build, we can roll out to almost 1 million customers. It's freedom to take a risk, provide for your family, and build wealth. Economic justice is freedom. And look, some things are worth doing even though they're not completely driven by product sales and profit. You may have to hold the concept close to the vest in the early days, water it and give it sunlight, take the long view, ignore the skeptics, convert the skeptics, and then just go do it. Because sometimes, just sometimes, breakthroughs will lead to something bigger. I encourage you to take the leap. Thank you.